What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I have some Altaria gameplay to showcase. Altaria is a very bulky Dragon-type Pokemon. When normally Dragon-types are pretty squishy, Altaria is a very interesting pick. Altaria's biggest drawback is the fact that it is a little bit slow to getting to charge moves, but it makes up for that with how much bulk it has and how much fast move pressure it has with Dragon Breath. Let's take a look at the battles and see how Altaria can fare in the Great League meta. Alright, game number 1 here, we're going to see our Altaria lead into a Skarmory. Our Altaria has some play here, but Steel types generally are the best answers to Dragon-type Pokemon aside from the Fairies, so we don't want to be in that matchup if we can help it. They swapping our Feraligatr here will lure out the Annihilape, apparently. Annihilape is a very interesting answer here to Feraligatr. It's not really the best answer, but it can probably 2-shield through me because my Feraligatr is not exactly the best. The first Hydro Cannon is going to come through. The Shadow Claws are ripping through their health. They likely have to shield if they want to keep switch, which they do. I can farm this down with my Altaria and hope that my Lantern in the back has a little bit of play up shields. Skarmory pairs very well with things like Gligar, with things like Quagsire, all things that my Lantern with Water Gun that I'm using should have play into in the back. We can also no-shield a move here. I know Altaria would have to deal with that Skarmory, so I don't really feel like investing resources here anyway. You can either throw a move or bank energy. I'm going to bank that energy just in case it's useful in the back, and they're building up a lot here. This makes me think they might be a little bit weak to my Lantern. I'm going to just let this move go. I know Brave Bird will do a decent chunk, but it won't put me even below half health. There is the Shadow Gligar in the back. I can get so much damage with my Water Gun fast move and have Surfs to throw at this back-to-back. You know, they're Shadow Gligar, they're down energy, so my Water Gun Lantern is not in a very bad spot, especially up shields. We can shield up the first move. Even if they bait, they're never going to get to another dig, so I can just throw the Surf when I get to it and make sure that they're not going to be able to land a dig against my Lantern. This makes it so the Skarmory in the back is going to be destroyed by my Water Gun Lantern, a bit of a core breaker for our opponent here, and something that's going to be able to take the win for us in game number 1. Next matchup here, we're going to have to see what we're going to get the lead into. Our Altaria into a Shadow Swampert, a fantastic lead actually this time for Altaria. Generally, Flyers do pair pretty well with Swampert, so we'll have to see if there's any in the back, and it's going to be a Shadow Golbat. Yeah, that's definitely a Flyer. Not the most common Flyer in the meta, but I have seen it a little bit more recently. Shadow Golbat likely is going to go for a move like a Poison Fang bait, and then a Shadow Ball after. Poison Fang lowers my defense. It'll probably make it so the next move will knock me out if they choose to shield this and try to reach for that next charge attack. Surf will be shielded likely from this trainer. They do shield it, and they will get to a Shadow Ball here pretty soon. I know I'll get knocked out by this, but saying that I'm not that weak to Shadow Swampert, right? I have Shadow Feraligatr in the back. I don't really need to shield. I can just farm this down with my Altaria, get a move off against whatever comes in, hopefully, and then sweep the backline with my Gator. The move that comes through, obviously, a Poison Fang. We don't want to shield that. It's not the most damaging move in the game. Even from a Shadow Pokemon, we're still way above half health. We can throw a Moonblast. This is a Shadow Sableye, triple Shadow team from our opponent. We can easily get a shield here, have 2 shields, 2-0 against our opponent with our Shadow Feraligatr. And once you have shield advantage with Gator, it's kind of just game over. Shadow Swampert has nowhere to go against this team, so we can throw the Hydro Cannons. Once we get to 2 Hydro Cannons, we basically take the game. We'll throw the first tier against this. The Swampert is not going to be able to reach the amount of energy it's going to need. It would have to bait me and then land an Earthquake as well to take the game. Our opponent realizes that, and they top left. A nice core breaker for the backline there with our Gator. I love using it. Speaking of a bit of a tricky matchup, though, a Clodsire. This thing normally runs Stone Edge, so I don't want to stay in that matchup. Clodsire generally wins all even shields, even running Mud Shot, so I didn't want to waste my Altaria in a matchup like that. They're staying in after I safe swap my Shadow Feraligatr, so this makes me think they might be kind of weak to me in the back, and this is what they bring in. They don't even throw energy on their Clodsire there. They bring in a Diggersby. I know I survive a Scorching Stance from this range, no reason to shield, and they go for a bait. This is huge. Now I can build up to 2 moves. I know that if they get to another move, it's just going to be a Fire Punch before I can throw these 2 Hydro Cannons. They CMP me there. I know I can no-shield yet again, get back-to-back Hydro Cannons off, and then hopefully sweep the backline with my Lantern. If they're already this weak to my Water-type damage, then my Water Gun Lantern should have a lot of play in the back. If they shield this, I should get yet another Hydro Cannon off. I don't think they can Quick Attack me down before I can get to my final Hydro Cannon here. Looks like they do shield. On 1 HP, we get to this Hydro Cannon, we can knock out this Diggersby. ABA ground so far makes me wonder, like, what could actually be in the back with this team? The Clodsire comes back in. We don't have a hard answer for this, especially with how much energy they have, so we'll likely have to start shielding again here against this thing. What are they going to throw at us? It could be a Stone Edge bait, could be an Earthquake, and it's going to be a Sludge Bomb, so they're not even running Stone Edge probably. They're probably running Sludge Bomb and Earthquake. A crazy moveset here by our opponent, but that's totally fine. They have a Trevenant as their third, but Trevenant isn't really that scary here for me. I just built up to back-to-back Surfs with my Lantern so I can take out that Clodsire later on, and since I know that that Clodsire is also not running Stone Edge, they're not going to be able to do a ton of damage to my Altaria with that. I also know that Trevenant here is not going to be too big of a worry for my Altaria. And if they are energy drive for the Shadow Ball here, I can probably just farm them all the way down, have moves to go against this Clodsire, and if they don't throw energy at me, I'll be able to knock them out with just a lot of fast move and charge move pressure. They do throw their move, so luckily they'll never be able to get to a Sludge Bomb and then an Earthquake before I can get my 2 Surfs off. So we throw the first Surf, we have another Surf loaded, no reason to play any shenanigans, just throw the back-to-back moves here, make sure that we can knock out this Clodsire and take the game here. Fantastic lead. Well, a fantastic safe swap situation. A pretty awkward lead, honestly. If I knew that they were running Sludge Bomb instead of Stone Edge, maybe I would have stayed in that lead matchup. But even still, able to take the win on that interesting match. Alright, Altaria lead here into a Vigoroth. This is a very neutral matchup, but Vigoroth does have Rock Slide, so it can hit me for a lot of damage if they want to start playing out this matchup and maybe try to get some Body Slam baits or maybe just go straight for the Rock Slide. It really depends. A lot of Vigoroth users play this differently. We no shield, and they do go for the Rock Slide. A little bit unfortunate here, taking a ton of our health away from our Altaria already. I want to get a shield here. I feel like in the backline, once this Vigoroth is going to be gone, my Feraligatr should be pretty strong. We land the move. We almost get the farm down, but they throw a move last second here. This is fine. I can get a Shadow Claw down with my Feraligatr and hopefully have a lot of play with my Water types in the back. We do get that one Shadow Claw through. What's going to come into us? It's going to be a Psychic type, Deoxys, it looks like. This is an interesting thing to see, because you'd have to like Psycho Boost and swap out. You can't really use this as a Pokemon in extended scenarios, so we do shield its Psycho Boost, and they swap to an Annihilape, so a triple counter lineup here from our opponent. Very interesting team. Our Feraligatr should have a lot of play up all this energy, and our Lantern in the back should have a lot of play too, just with a lot of neutral water type damage. Next Hydro Cannon is going to come through. Our Shadow Claws are ripping away at their health, but their counters are ripping away at mine. I don't want to stay here and risk getting countered down before I get to that next move, so we'll swap to our Lantern, try to shield up or call the move properly. They end up going for the Shadow Ball. We do shield it last second, and if we can get to the Thunderbolts here before they can get to their next move, then we'll be in a very good spot. Looks like they throw energy here. That was only 7 counters. This should just be a Night Slash. Not going to do anywhere near as much damage as they probably would hope. We can get up to double moves here with our Lantern, and throw energy against that Deoxys when it comes back in. Deoxys is a very defense-weighted Pokemon. Its HP stat is very low, which means that one-turn moves start shredding through its health pretty quickly here if they do 2 damage. Thunderbolt is also going to do a lot of damage. If they try to build up to back-to-back moves here, then I can likely farm them all the way down. If they don't, Shadow Feraligatr probably has even more fast move pressure against the Deoxys, so they're forced to try to build up to 2 moves. It's not going to work out. We get the farm down with Lantern and we can take the game. Altaria into Annihilape. Another fighter. This one's going to be a little bit more interesting. Annihilape can throw Shadow Balls at me, but we do have the ability to 2-shield this and farm them all the way down, because Annihilape is a little bit squishier than Vigoroth. They throw energy here. If they're staying in this matchup, I kind of feel like my Altaria would be a little bit more useful in the back, so I'm going to shield this, kind of use it as a way to bank up energy. We see that the Mantine safe swaps in. I have a hard wall to any moveset that this Mantine could run. If they're running Bullet Seed, yeah, sure, they'll have fast move pressure against me, but no charge moves that this Mantine could ever have would do anything more than resist damage to my Lantern. We'll just absorb energy here, try to take shields as well. If they want to double shield their Mantine, they can be my guest. I'm not really weak to Mantine on any of my Pokemon, and the fact that we just saw Water Pulse means that they're not running Ice Beam. Our Altaria doesn't have to worry about getting one-shot if we ever get that aligned later on, and we can go for the guaranteed shield here. I can always go for the bait here, but it's always a toss-up, right? Do they actually want to shield this? It looks like this one does. A bait would have been kind of awesome there because it would have wasted a lot less energy, but I like to play for guarantees sometimes. When I know there's no reason not to just play for the guarantee, I'll go for that big move. Surf comes through here. It's going to likely either get a shield or put them into Water Gun downrange. Looks like they no-shield it. We can Water Gun them all the way down and hopefully see what their third is. Or if that Mantine comes back in, just come back in with Altaria. We have a ton of energy here. Can probably whittle that down enough that it's not going to be a big problem for our Feraligatr in the back, and we'll have to see what their third is going to be. Moonblast comes through. Do they shield? Do they let it go? Looks like they do let it go. Makes sense if they're maybe a little bit stronger against my Altaria in the back. They throw a move as well. We know, unless they're running Ice Beam, Water Pulse, that this is not going to be an Ice Beam. We survive it. We did get a debuff as well, which is kind of nice, but probably not going to be super useful. We see it's an Alolan Sandslash that comes in. I throw a move. It's probably no reason to throw this move. I could have just come in with my Gator immediately and gone for Hydro Cannon and won this game, but we come in with our Gator eventually. We are going to throw the Hydro Cannons. They can never get to 2 Drill Runs before we get these 2 Hydras. We were quick enough on the swap. Even with the bait, that's not going to matter. We have the 2 moves now. Throw the first one. We have the back-to-back here. They are at their next Drill Run right now, so if we don't throw on CMP, then we lose the game. So just make sure to tap that button, win the game, and close out the match against an Annihilape lead. They weren't really that weak to Altaria. I'm surprised they stayed in that lead matchup as long as they did. They had a Mantine and an A-Slash backline, so them staying in with Annihilape is kind of an interesting play. Lyle, again, we fought him earlier today. He was running the Shadow Swampert. Looks like he's trying out the regular Swampert this time. Yet again, though, a pretty strong lead for us, and a Shadow Sableye safe swap this time. We don't have a hard response to this, so what I'm going to do is just stay in my Altaria for a minute. I know that the Swampert is not going to be that scary against my backline, and I can probably take a shield from this with my Altaria, get enough fast move pressure to put them into Shadow Claw downrange with my Feraligatr, and maybe I can use my energy lead against their backline. If he's running a similar team to the last time we fought him, he's going to have that Golbat in the back. So my Feraligatr up all energy here is going to be very impactful. Can we get the Shadow Claw down? He's going to get the move right now, but we get it. We get the full farm down. What's he going to come in with? It's going to be that Shadow Golbat. I'm going to go for the big call here. I don't really need to worry about this thing. I know I have played into it in the back line, but if we go for the Ice Beam, guarantee the knockout, then we can have our Gator against this Swampert, get the back-to-back Hydro Cannons here, and at this point it looks like that was a CMP, so I won't get these two moves off, unfortunately, but we still have almost a full health Altaria into a Pokemon that generally does not run any moves that can hit my Altaria for anything less than resisted. If this is running Sludge Wave, they could Sludge Wave my Altaria, but it's a non-shadow, we'd probably still survive, and if they are, then my Lantern in the back would be very free to just close out this endgame. They throw a move here, what's it going to be? It's either an Earthquake, it's a Sludge Wave, or maybe a Hydro Cannon. It's an Earthquake. Fair enough. We can get to the move here, knock them out with a Moonblast, guarantee the KO, and take the win once again. Altaria very strong into this team, it looks like. That Golbat in the back tried to do its best, but it just kind of got one-shot by an Ice Beam because Gator was kind of crazy. All right, next matchup here, Altaria. We're getting a lot of repeat opponents tonight, honestly. We fought both Lyle and then this opponent here twice. This is the triple counter user. Since we both know each other's teams, so we might try to play it out a little bit differently this time. They go for a move. Last time we no-shielded the Rock Slide, I'm going to play it out the same way. Even though I know that it's triple counter, I know how strong my backline can be into his, so there's no real reason to do anything other than this. I'm going to build up energy here. I know that my Water Gun Lantern is going to do a pretty good job of neutralizing the energy from this Deoxys, and my energy is going to go a long way with my Altaria in the backline. If there is that Annihilape still, and that Vigoroth is in the matchup that we saw, we have a lot of play just throwing Sky Attacks into whatever is going to come in after this Deoxys is gone. We also have our Feraligatr still, which should have play even into that Vigoroth now that we were able to get it chipped down with Dragon Breath damage. They're probably in Hydro Cannon range. We're going to throw a Surf now that they threw energy here and see if the Surf is going to be enough to knock out. Looks like it just barely is, and the Annihilape does come in. They'll probably no-shield this knowing how much energy that I have left over on my Altaria, but they're in a very awkward spot at this point. I can probably take both of their shields right now if I bring an Altaria, do a Dragon Breath, throw a Sky Attack, see if they shield, and then do another Dragon Breath Sky Attack combo to see if I can draw the second. First shield comes through, we'll throw the next Sky Attack here, likely a second shield's going to come through, but once shields are down, my Shadow Feraligatr should just close out this game pretty easily. We do see the second shield here, we know for sure that was just 5, this is a Night Slash, we don't need to shield this, it would do way less damage than a Body Slam from that Vigoroth, and it does come back in, we get to the Hydro Cannon, or we would, they top left, and we can take the match. Next matchup here. We're going to see our Altaria lead into, oh, this is terrible. This is probably one of the worst case scenarios. We don't have a hard answer for this with our team, and it's a Shadow Claw variant, which means my Water Gun Lantern in the back, it can't be resisting the fast moves like it would if it was a Powder Snow. We take an Ice Punch here, they're chipping me, and they're going to swap out to an Azumarill. Not the worst matchup. I'm a little concerned that if they have their Azumarill here, where is my Lantern going to go this game? We get a Hydro Cannon through, we get another one off, and at this point we're going to try to chip this down as much as we can. I'm also concerned that maybe my Altaria doesn't have a lot of play this game, because Altaria has already seen an Ice type and a Fairy type here. Maybe they are just trying to triple counter Altaria, maybe not, we'll just have to see what their third is. I'm going to shield up at this point, though I know that my Gator has a lot of energy, I can probably strip a shield back from them, and if shields are down, then my Lantern has a much better matchup here into the Alolan Sandslash. We do get a shield here, and they throw instantly so we don't get that next Hydro Cannon off. Smart play, but now I know I can go for a Water Gun down against this. Hopefully have enough energy to threaten that A-Slash if it comes back in, or maybe their third Pokemon if we need energy against that. Are we going to get the Water Gun down before the player off? Just barely. They were getting their 6th bubble right when we got the Water Gun down, and their third Pokemon is a Mandibuzz. I would prefer my Altaria to be here, obviously, but Water Gun Lantern, it has super effective coverage here with this Thunderbolt, and I know that I need to stay a little bit healthy here. I can't knock this out with Surf plus Fast Move Pressure before taking like 2 Dark Pulses, and I know I can't use a shield against this. So what I'm going to have to do is throw the Thunderbolt here before they get to their next Dark Pulse, and hopefully they'll let it through, and maybe I can actually Fast Move down that A-Slash all the way. The A-Slash, since it is running Shadow Claw, it doesn't have Fast Move Pressure, at least not as much against my Altaria, which means that it's not going to be able to one-shot me with Ice Punch and then farm me all the way down, at least not without taking a ton of chip damage. We'll throw the Surf here just in case we need it, and look how much damage we're doing with this Water Gun. They're getting pretty low at this point. We catch an Ice Punch because they're getting to back-to-back. If we can Dragon Breath this down before they Shadow Claw us down, we should be able to win this game. They get that move through, and we're getting the Dragon Breath pressure. It's doing a lot. We're doing very close to the same amount of damage to each other. They get the farm down. Water Lantern can come in, it can get the Water Gun down and take the game here against the Alolan Sandslash into Altaria lead. Alright, next matchup, we're going to see a Charjabug lead. I saw a lot of these today for some reason. Charjabug is a very strong Pokemon in my backline, so I'm happy to see it here. And yet again, an Alolan Sandslash. This time on a safe swap. That is not a safe swap. That is a danger swap. That is about as risky of a Pokemon as you can safe swap as possible. Luckily for our opponent, though, we don't actually have a fighter or like a hard response to this. The fact that it's Powder Snow, though, means that our Feraligatr doesn't take too much fast move pressure, and we'll be able to resist what they can throw at us. throw the Hydro Cannons, and hopefully keep switch advantage. We did shield against this, but that's fine. I know I can get shields back against this Charjabug because these Hydro Cannons with Shadow Claws are going to do a lot of damage. Either I'll get a shield back or I'll just get the KO here with my Water type. I am 2 off of the next Hydro Cannon. They are 1 Volt Switch away from the next. I'm going to throw an alignment just in case they try to throw energy to snipe me down. I will give them a sneak here, but all I'm really missing out by giving them the sneak is 1 Shadow Claw, and I don't risk the fact that I lose this Hydro Cannon. So we'll give them a farm down. We have our Altaria as well that can absorb this energy, farm them down. And the third Pokemon is unfortunately for them an Azumarill. We do just kind of RPS that match. The Azumarill and Charjabug core has been very common recently, so happy to win against that. Yet another Charjabug. I was talking about this. I saw a lot of these today, and it's a pretty good lead. This time an Azumarill safe swap. I can build up a little bit of energy there because my Lantern is generally a pretty hard answer to this. And even though you'd think I'd really want switch advantage to this game, I don't need it as much as they do, right? My Feraligatr has play into their Charjabug, and I know that my Lantern can get a lot out of this matchup, probably get a Thunderbolt onto them, almost knock them out, if not just straight up knocking them out. We'll see if they start shielding. If they do, then we'll have to see if we want to play it out any differently. If they don't, then we'll play it out from there. Looks like they do no shield. That's probably a smart play, honestly. We're going to go for Surfs now. If we can build up perfectly to the next move before they get theirs, I'll have energy to throw against that Charjabug. We're building up right before they get to a potential Ice Beam. A little bit of a frame drop happened there, which made it so I threw on bad timing, unfortunately. So they do get a sneak, but at this point I know they're still in Water Gun down range. It's going to be a bit of a tight Water Gun down after letting that sneak through, but we can shield this up and hopefully farm them all the way down before they get their final attack. We just barely do. We get the Water Gun down. We have a Thunderbolt loaded, but the Charjabug is likely going to come through. We'll do some Water Guns and then throw the Surf to get a little bit of chip damage against this thing. Now we're in a very good position. We still have switch advantage, and we have our Feraligatr that we can have to answer this Alolan Sandslash in the back. We just swap it in when they swap, and we should easily be able to take this game. First Hydro Cannon will come through, and they will shield it. Makes sense. Their A-Slash is basically their win condition at this point. If they ever let it go, my Altaria just instantly wins the game. So they do shield it. It makes sense, but I think we're still in a very good spot here. We get to this next Hydro Cannon because we were pretty quick on the swap, and we're going to knock them out here before they can get anything onto our Altaria. Our Feraligatr as well will be able to knock out this Charjabug if they were to stay on the matchup, but they realize it's over. We can take the game and win. All right, next matchup, Altaria into a Charjabug lead for like the 5th time tonight. I don't know how many we're going to see. Is it going to be the same team with Azumarill and Alolan Sandslash in the back, or is it going to be different this time? They are playing out the lead, so I'm thinking maybe it's not the same matchup. It's probably going to be something different in the back. We can use our Altaria as a way to just kind of absorb damage, get a guaranteed shield from this. If we go for the Moonblast, then if they let this go, they'll get knocked out. If they shield it, I'll gladly take a shield advantage, because I know once Charjabug is gone, generally my backline should have a decent amount of play. They're building up a lot of energy here. They're at 5, so that means that they have an X-Scissor loaded if they were to throw an X-Scissor now. If they throw the Discharge, though, then they're going to be 1 off of their next. And right now, I know that they're 2 voltages away from their next X-Scissor. This is a little bit tricky because I know that we'll have to take 2 moves before getting the full farm down. A little bit unfortunate, but I know that Shield Advantage on Shadow Feraligatr and Energy Lead on Lantern should be at least somewhat strong into the backline. X-Scissor comes through. It does a decent amount of damage, but we're still above the red. And what comes in, that's a Shadow Whiscash, it looks like. Shadow Whiscash, a very strong pick into the electric types normally, but up shield and up energy, it's not the scariest thing to see. We also have our Shadow Feraligatr here still. We'll safe swap this, and they throw a move, so they're staying in. They might be a little bit weak to my Gator in the back. What's their third going to be? It is going to be a Mandibuzz. So not really something that's weak to Feraligatr, but up energy, and the fact that I have Ice Beam means that our opponent is going to have to be very scared and probably respect the fact that I could have a move that would nearly one-shot them at this point. We'll throw the Ice Beam now, guarantee the shield. If they do shield it, I know I can still get to another Hydro Cannon, probably fast move them down, force them to throw 2 moves against my Feraligatr, and I know at this point, after how much damage I got onto that Whiscash, I can probably just land a Surf, Water Gun it down, and close out this game with my Lantern. They do throw another move. I could shield this, I could let it go. What am I going to do? I actually end up shielding it so I can get this damage off. I want to guarantee that I can land this Hydro Cannon to put this into Water Gun downrange, and that way my Lantern has a little bit less work to do in the back. We'll swap into Lantern now, try to Water Gun this down. They swap at the same time, but they're on their 4th cycle. We get the Surf right before they get their Mud Bomb, and the fast move pressure that we had with Water Gun, I think is going to be just enough to put this into Surf range. We knock them out. Can we Water Gun down the Mandibuzz before it gets their move? We barely do. We can take the win here and be very happy that our Water Gun Lantern was in the back. All right, next matchup, we're going to see an Altaria lead into a Shadow Steelix. You don't see this too often. Normally this thing runs Dragon Tail. I don't want to say in that, but this is running Thunderfang. That is not Dragon Tail. Altaria would have had a decent matchup here, and the fact that this is running Thunderfang means my Water type in the back does not actually want to see this Ground type. They throw a Psychic Fangs, so we're going to be debuffed into this Lickitung matchup. This is terrible. There's no way I'm going to be able to flip switch. Even if I do, I'm in a pretty bad spot, right? Because if I flip switch, they have an electric type damage move on their Steelix. I don't have any Water type fast move pressure on my Feraligatr. What we need to do right now is we need to get shields down. I'm going to throw this Surf after landing that Thunderbolt. Water Gun still does a lot of fast move pressure here, so the fact that they let this go means hopefully if I can get to this next surf, if they let me, I can shield this, get a shield from them, and maybe get shields down here. They have back-to-back moves, so if they try to throw a move now, we can get the surf off on CMP, bring them of energy here, and maybe there's a chance our Altaria is going to be able to do something in the back. Let this go. At this point, I know our Lantern has done what it's going to do. With the fact that shields are down, I think that my Feraligatr is going to have a little bit more play now. We're going to bring this in, hopefully absorb energy here. I'm hoping they don't get another move off. They really shouldn't. But swap into my Gator, get a Shadow Claw down, see what comes in. It's going to be the Annihilape, so fortunately they don't bring in their Steelix here. And since it is running Thunderfang rather than Dragon Tail on Steelix, honestly, I don't think that Altaria matchup's going to be all that bad. We land the Hydro Cannon, and I know for sure this is just a Night Slash. Do I want to shield it? Do I want to let it go? I let it go because I know I can still get to a move against that Steelix in the back. And then if shields are down, I think Dragon Breath plus Moonblast could potentially be enough as long as this Steelix is not running Breaking Swipe. It's going to be a very tricky endgame here. Can we get enough damage? Our Dragon Breaths are actually chunking them a decent amount, putting them kind of low. If this is a Breaking Swipe and they get an attack drop, I think we could lose this. We know it's a Psychic Fangs. As long as we get this Moonblast off before they can fast move us down, we should be able to have this game. We throw the Moonblast. Lickitung is still there in the back, though. We have to keep tapping, Dragon Breath this down, Dragon Breath down the Lickitung, and maybe we can take this game on such a terrible lead. We Dragon Breath through the Steel type, we Dragon Breath through the Normal type, and we can take the win here in the final game of the night. An absolutely crazy game to finish it off on. Honestly, when I saw that it was Thunderfang, I felt, maybe I should have just stayed in the lead matchup there. But a bit of a core breaker for us, still able to overcome it, and Altaria proving why it is such a good Pokemon here in the Go Battle League. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/itsaxon, so if you want to see this kind of content live, make sure to check me out there. I'm also planning on uploading a lot more videos to this channel, so if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.